Well, hello there, folks, and welcome to Bubba Roundtree Outdoors. I'm your host, Wade Rush. I have lost count on how many times I get the question, Wade, do you use graphite, smoke, or nothing to treat your lead molds? The short answer is yes.
Hey, it's Marty with Marty's Arms, and you're watching Bubba Roundtree Outdoors.
Do you treat with graphite, smoke, or nothing at all? Let's dive into this very hot topic. It doesn't matter if you're dealing with Lee, Lyman, Zvrog, Do-It molds, and every flippin' thing else. It doesn't matter. It all works in certain conditions. Graphite works, smoking works, helps, and there are times and places where you don't need any treatment at all. Stand by. One of my top questions on social media: Wade, do you treat your buckshot molds with any kind of treatment, say smoke or graphite or nothing? Well, there are applications for all the above. We got folks arguing about this stuff on the social media platforms. The silly thing about it is in my experience, and I'm coming from a lot of experience here, that we're talking hundreds of molds, and I've treated them all with, well, here we go. Do-It slingshot mold, smoke treated. Do-It split shot fishing mold, not treated at all. Just hit it with a little bit of brake cleaner from time to time. Every buckshot mold that Lee makes, number 4, double alt and triple alt, all graphite treated. The argument that I hear is folks saying, you know, in ideal conditions, you don't ever have to treat your mold. How many molds have you got? And how many molds are you not treating? How much experience do you have in this area? Ideal conditions. Y'all check out my office here. Yeah, I'm outside. This is where I'm set up. You talk about temperature differences all during the year and all that stuff. Heck, fire, even 2 weeks out of the year, it gets cold here in South Carolina. But the ideal condition stuff, let's just toss that right out the window. For most people, this is the kind of conditions that we're operating in. If you're inside of a shop that has constant temperature, that helps. And if you have only a certain type of alloy, I'm bouncing all over the flipping place. I've got different types of wheel weights, different makes, different models, all over the place jumbled together. And I've got lead that has no antimony in tin virtually. I will call it 99% pure lead. And so I'm operating with pure lead sometimes, and sometimes antimony and tin mixes that could be anywhere from 1% to 6%. That's a big difference in conditions, and it makes a difference. The hardness of your alloy will make a difference on how your mold feels. The size of your pellets that you're dealing with will make a big difference on how your mold feels. Stand by. Mold temperature is absolutely critical. In my experiences, depending on the mold, by the time the mold reaches ideal temps to where it's throwing basically a full load of pellets every time, you'll only get about a half a dozen throws to maybe 10, half a dozen to a dozen, depending on your alloy, before the mold is too hot and you have to start cooling it back down and starting over. And with me, I'm working fast with a 10-pound pot and with a 20-pound pot. And when you're working fast, you're continuously dropping cold alloy back into these pots. And that's why I have two pots, is because I'm bouncing back and forth between the two. And all of that is contingency. All of that is variables that are thrown in this equation that can cause multiple different scenarios to play out whenever you are molding up your shot of whether or not you need to treat your mold or not. The Lee Buckshot Molds, all of them, all three sizes, make 18 pellets in strings of 3. 6 strings of 3. Outstanding molds. They work very, very well. Once they get up to temperature, they can operate pretty good. They're aluminum block, pretty good size aluminum block, but the bigger pellets, double aught, especially the triple aught, can overheat pretty quick. MP Buckshot Mold, still testing this one. A subscriber helped me buy this mold. I had never heard of them. It is a Lee copy. See, it only has the top row on here that it pours 8 pellets at a time. But it pours 8 pellets at a time, cuts the sprue off, and these pellets are ready to go into tumbler right after you dry them. Very, very nice. Yeah, only 8 at a time. I've made thousands with it. I love this mold. I do. Link to this site will be down in the description, as well as all the other ones here. Very seldom have I had this mold overheat on me, just because of the design. Very thick aluminum, but only the top row in here is what we're pouring. So it takes a long time. Boy, you'd really have to get after it in hot temperature to overheat this mold. The Do It molds, very thick aluminum, but big stuff that you're pouring in here. It'll get hot. It'll get hot fairly quick. But these, see these intricate designs in here? This is for the removable split shot and all that. I have found it works a lot better for me not to treat this mold at all. That's just my personal findings. The slingshot molds, smoke treated. This, from one of the first several times that I smoke treated this, I have not had to treat these molds again probably for over a year. It works. The pellets come right out. If it ain't broke, you don't fix it. These are smoke treated and it's working for me. Y'all get that? If it's working for you, that's great. Marty's Arms mold. Medium size mold. Outstanding mold. They heat up fairly quick depending on the size pellets that you're using. They cool down rapidly, whether you just crack them open, lay them on the bench, or use a wet sponge as I do to dab on each side till I get them back to temperature where we can roll with them again. Sharpshooter USA mold. Rick, I wish you and the boys would start making these again. Big, thick pieces of aluminum. Known Rick a long time. He was grossly overbuilding these. Look at the size of that pin in here. Big, thick handles. They don't heat up as fast depending on the size pellets you're using. This one's graphite treated. I've smoke treated it and graphite treated it. That works good for me. But to say that to not treat the mold with anything is the only way that it has to be, and that all of it is, the rest of it is unnecessary, is ridiculous. Case in point, example. Let me see if this is my Lyman 20 gauge. That's the 12. I'm looking at my 525 Lyman Sabo. Okay, sorry about the delay, fellas. 20 gauge Lyman Sabo. If I do not graphite treat this pin every time before I go into a session with this mold, I cannot get this pin out of the pellet. That's been the way it has been ever since I bought this thing new 6-7 years ago. I have to treat this pin to get this pin out. If I don't treat it, I cannot get it out of this out of these pellets. That's what works for me. Oh, let's see, case in point. See the wire? My pin fell out, so I run a piece of aluminum wire through there. That also works for me. But to have folks arguing over to treat a mold or not to treat a mold is ridiculous, because there are times and places to where it is necessary, is not necessary, and it really doesn't matter what you treat it with. You don't want to treat it with some kind of a lubricant inside the inside your molds. Lubricant is fine to put on your hinges here, but you don't want to get the lubricant here where you're pouring your ball or anything else. That's what causes your projectiles to ripple up, look funny, stink, and all that other mess. You don't want to get that, even wax. You don't want to get that inside where you're molding your ball. You want to keep that dry. Folks, this was just short and sweet and to the point. If it works for you, then stay with it. If it doesn't work for you, try something else. But graphite, smoke, or nothing, all three work. And all three work well depending on what your project is. I hope this helped you out, folks. This is Wade Rush, host of the Bubba Roundtree Outdoors channel. There's lots more coming very soon. We'll see you. Bye-bye. With that big leaf pot, it goes quick. Try to hit them as dead center as you can. And all these number 4 buck will be going for a 12-hour tumble in the Harbor Freight rock tumbler tonight. This is the number 4 buck out of the Lee mold after 12 plus hour tumble. It's ready to powder coat. Well, boys, here's the number 4 buck in the Toxic Shot mix. Completely coated up nicely, ready to go in the oven. Miss Joanne is pulling the number 4 buck out that we did in the Toxic Shot mix. When this stuff gets going, boys, it gets going fast.